What is the best that you can give? Oftentimes, the best thing that you can give is your last or your only. I was at a conference and everybody had been wrapped up. The speakers were leaving. I stayed behind to talk to everybody. The cleaning crew was in there cleaning, and there was just me and one lady that had remained there. She was kind of walking back and forth, pacing and looking to and fro. And as I was getting ready to finally leave, I could tell she was going to approach me. I had come to this event with maybe 20 bucks in my pocket. This was a long time ago, and I was ready to head on home. She slowly approached me, and as she came up to me, I kind of just knew deep down somewhere in there that she was going to ask me for money. You ever have that feeling? You're like, this person's about to ask me for some money. And she did. She approached me. She said, I came to this conference and I was confident that someone would help me out. I spent my last dollars in my gas tank to get here. And I was really believing that someone was just going to help me. But now that no one has, and you're the last person here, do you have some money that you could give me so I could get home? Now, I'm the type of person, if you ask of me anything and I have it, I'll give it to you. It's kind of a principle I go by. A lot of people have not because they ask not. So when someone does ask and I have, they get. So I pulled out my wallet. I handed her her last 20, and I won't say that it wasn't without some reluctancy because it was the last 20 I had in my wallet at the time. And I remember handing it to her and having this little conversation between me and God. God, you knew that this woman was going to ask me for 20 bucks. You also knew that I would give it. You also knew that was my last 20 bucks in my wallet, and I just gave it to her. Now I have nothing. And I was a little bit pissed, to be straight honest with you. Even if you give out of the principle and you're a little bit begrudgingly giving, there's still power in it. And let me explain what happens next. So I'm angry that whole drive home, and I get back and I'm a little frustrated, and my kids can notice. They're looking at me like I'm a little crazy. My wife's looking at me like I'm a little crazy, and I am. I'm a little upset that I gave my last bit. The next day, I'm cooking lunch, and as I'm preparing my lunch and getting myself ready to eat chicken and salad, I get a knock on the door. Someone knocks on my front door and I go to it, and it's an old friend of mine that had just moved back to the town that I was living in. He came to the door and he said, Brent, I need to talk to you. Do you have a few minutes? I said, absolutely. Come on in the house. I'm cooking some chicken. I'm going to put it on a salad and I'm going to eat. You're welcome to join me. And as we sit down, I get the same feeling that I got in the convention was he is here about money. And I was like, boy, did he pick the wrong house to knock on. I ain't got nothing if he's looking for it. And I'm cooking my food and he's talking about life and hey, I'm glad to be back in town and it's so good to see you again. And he's going on and on for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm just listening and cooking and waiting for the money bomb to drop, right? So as I'm cooking, I sit down. Now I'm eating, right? I'm eating my salad and he's still talking. I fixed him a plate. I fixed myself a plate and he's still talking, continues to talk. And finally, I just stop eating. I look at him and go, well, what can I help you with? How can I help you? And he says, well, listen, man, the reason I came here and I've been kind of not getting to the point. And now I'm thinking, here it comes. Here it comes. Here comes the I need some money or the money talk. And I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting there eating and he goes, I need to tell you something. We moved back here about 5 months ago, and my family and I are normally tithers. We give to a local church, and we haven't really found a church to go to. And I've been praying about where to give my money, and I'm here to tell you. And then he reaches down like this, and he pulls out a big bank envelope. You know the one I'm talking about when you go to get cash to go buy a car or a motorcycle, you stick it in that envelope. And he's got a thick one about that thick, and he slaps it on the table. He said, I was praying about and wondering about where I should give this money. And I've been so excited to get here, I could barely contain myself because for the first time in a long time, yesterday, I heard God tell me I need to give this money to you. Well, I stopped him right then. I said, when was that? When did you hear that you needed to give it to me? And he gave me a time. It was literally the same time I was bitching and moaning to God about me giving my last $20 to some lady that needed to get gas money to go ride home. So here he sits with a big fat envelope, and I didn't open it in front of him. I thought that'd be a little bit rude, but it was thicker. Even if it was ones, it was going to be a pretty gracious gift. I grabbed it. I said, "Well, I'm glad that you were obedient to what you heard, because I was obedient to what I heard." Sometimes giving your last opens up the floodgates to get your best. Sometimes giving what you do have opens up to the doors to get what you need and what you don't have. There's no shortage of abundance in the world. There is a shortage of givers. And when you learn to give, even if it's the last that you have, you've given the most. No matter how little it is, if it's your last, it's your most, it's your best. And when you give your best, you can expect to receive the best back in return. As he was walking out the door, he had a smile from ear to ear. His demeanor had completely changed. He was the happiest man I've ever seen in my life because he was obedient to what he heard. Now, he walked out that door and I couldn't help but finish my chicken, clean the plates in the dish in the sink, wash them and scrub them, but curiosity got the best of me and I had to open that envelope up. And when I opened it up, all I saw, I pulled out, and the first one was 100. The next one was 100. The next one was 100. Now I'm pulling them out and I'm just throwing them like a deck of cards on the table. Hundreds, 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 hundreds. I don't know, 5, 7, 8,000. I can't remember now. It's been so long ago. And there was a lesson in there for me, and there was a lesson in there for you. Being obedient is greater than sacrificing, right? Giving to unto others as they have their need opens the floodgates for you to receive more. Giving your last is often your best, and giving your best means that you've aligned yourself with the best. When I received that money, I couldn't help but understand that even though I was perplexed and a little bit angry and having a little bit of a dialogue with God, like how would you have, why would you ask me to give my last to this person knowing that I would do it? Now you know I have nothing. And that's kind of the principle that I want to teach today and to share with you. Giving your best, being obedient, opens you up to an abundant life. And if you don't believe me, I want you to test it for yourself. Test what I'm saying and see if it doesn't work for you as well.